Today, we will discuss topics such as the Saturn Antardasha subperiod within the Venus Mahadasha major period, specifically the inauspicious effects and remedial measures as described in Chapter 60, Part 2 of the Parashara Hora Shastra. So we're skipping the basic overviews today. Instead, our exclusive focus is going to be a comprehensive, research-oriented breakdown of verse 11. We are going to examine the original Sanskrit, the word-by-word structural breakdown, the astrological meaning, and of course, the practical relevance of this highly specific cosmic intersection. Let's get started.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. We'll start with the Vimshatari Dasha cycle, then look at how we calculate these subperiods. After that, we'll explore planetary friendships, dive deep into the Saturn subperiod in Venus, and finally, look at the astrological remedial measures.
Starting right off with Section 1, the Vimshatari Dasha cycle.
So what exactly is the Vimshatari Dasha? Well, ancient sages like Maharishi Parashara defined it as a 120-year timeline, which they calculated as the normal human lifespan in our current age, the Kali Yuga. If you look at the first diagram in our research, you'll see the construction method for this framework. It's essentially a three-dimensional hierarchy of time. The overarching 120 years represent the macro level, kind of like an x-axis. This axis is then mathematically fractured into smaller, measurable units, mahadashas, followed by antardashas on the y-axis, and microscopic pratyantardashas on the z-axis. Basically, time is modeled as a repeating, quantifiable fractal. It's truly fascinating.
Now, these 120 years, they aren't just sliced up evenly. They are algorithmically distributed among 9 planetary entities. Venus, for example, rules a solid 20-year block, while the Sun governs only 6 years. But the mathematical rule is strict here. The aggregate always equals exactly 120 years, no exceptions. And within any major period block, the sequence of the subperiods is absolutely immutable. It always initiates with the Lord of the major period and then cycles through the subsequent planetary sequence.
Moving into Section 2, calculating these planetary subperiods.
You might be wondering, how do we actually find the exact length of a subperiod? It's literally a strict 3-step formula. Step 1, identify the allotted years of the major planet. Step 2, multiply that figure by the allotted years of the subplanet. And Step 3, divide the product by 120. Let's apply this to our specific explainer today. Venus is allotted 20 years, right? And Saturn is allotted 19 years. 20 multiplied by 19 yields 380. Divide 380 by 120, and you isolate a duration of precisely 3 years and 2 months. This represents the exact temporal window where these two specific celestial energies are going to interact.
Which brings us to Section 3, planetary friendships and enmities.
To understand how these planets interact during that 3-year, 2-month window, Vedic astrology uses a fascinating dual-layered computational system. The first layer is Nysargic Maitri, or natural friendships. This defines the permanent baseline relationships based on a planet's inherent nature. The second layer is Tatkalic Maitri, or temporary friendships. Now this one is highly contextual and geometric. It calculates relationships based strictly on the respective houses the planets occupy relative to each other in a person's specific birth chart.
Take a look at this birth chart alongside the Panchada Maitri chakra. That's the 5-fold friendship table. The construction method for this astronomical matrix is so precise. It involves taking the baseline value from the natural friendship table and adding it to the geometric value from the temporary friendship table. So if a planet is a natural friend and a temporary friend based on house placement, boom, they escalate to a great friend status. But if they're natural friends yet temporary enemies, they mathematically cancel each other out into a neutral state. This 5-fold grid strictly dictates the psychological and environmental output of their interaction. All right, let's dive into Section 4. The Saturn subperiod in Venus.
If we turn to page 739 of the translated text, Chapter 60, verse 11, gives us a very strict diagnosis of this subperiod. The original Sanskrit verse states, Swastana brashtam dana danyahanim daraputradi pidanam. Let's initiate the padashed, the word-by-word breakdown. Swastana translates to one's own place or position. Brashtam means fall or displacement. Dana is wealth, while danya is grain or sustenance. Hani means loss or destruction. Dara is wife or spouse, putradi means children and others, and finally, pidanam signifies suffering or affliction.
So what does this actually mean in practice? Well, the Shabdarth, the complete contextual meaning, indicates that when Saturn is placed in an inauspicious bhava, specifically the 8th or 12th house from the Dasa Lord Venus, this 3-year, 2-month period manifests as acute distress. The simple English translation of verse 11 warns of displacement from your position or residence, severe loss of financial and material wealth, and considerable suffering inflicted upon the spouse and children. Astrologically and philosophically, guys, this represents a severe karmic audit. Saturn's inherent function of restriction mathematically opposes Venus's natural function of expansion. If that temporary friendship matrix we just talked about shows enmity, Saturn strips away superficial material and domestic comforts to force a stark realignment with discipline and reality.
Finally, we reach Section 5, Astrological Remedial Measures.
The amazing thing about the Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra is that it doesn't just leave you with a list of problems. It systematically addresses these calculated misalignments. For the specific distresses outlined in verse 11, the text shifts immediately from diagnosis to prescription. It outlines highly targeted, algorithmic remedial measures to help restore equilibrium.
And these prescribed remedies, they aren't just arbitrary rituals. They are highly specific vibrational and physical interventions. The Mrityunjaya Japa and Durga Saptushati Patha are exact sonic frequencies utilized to counteract the physical disease and psychological dread generated by an afflicted Saturn. Furthermore, a Havana, or fire ritual, utilizing till, sesamum seeds, is required. Why sesamum seeds? Well, astrologically, they hold the exact vibrational signature required to absorb and ground Saturn's restrictive, airy energy. This serves to mathematically balance the planetary disharmony that was mapped out in the Panchada Maitri chakra.
To summarize our deep dive into Chapter 60, verse 11, we've seen how the 120-year Vimshatari macrocycle isolates a specific 3-year, 2-month subperiod of Saturn and Venus. We broke down the precise Sanskrit padashad, detailing the inauspicious effects, ranging from displacement to familial distress, that occur when these planets form a temporary enmity. And finally, we analyzed the targeted sonic and physical remedies prescribed to counteract this exact cosmic friction. It really makes you wonder just how advanced this early system of temporal profiling truly was. On behalf of the Vedmata AI family, we humbly request that if you found this presentation enlightening, please share our video widely so that authentic knowledge from Indian Vedic scriptures can reach the masses. Let us all come together to participate in this Gyan Yagna, sacrificial offering of knowledge. Har Har Mahadev.